Hello, everybody. I'm Jackie K. Cooper, and it's Tell Me a Story Thursday. And this is where I read from one of my preceding books, Not the Wisdom of Winter, which is my new book, available through Amazon and all bookstore chains. Get it. If you haven't gotten it yet, get it and enjoy it, I hope. But I'm reading from Journey of a Gentle Southern Man, and the story I'm reading is entitled Fairytales Can Come True. Once upon a time, that's a good way to start a story. Once upon a time in the magic kingdom of South Carolina, there lived a perfectly happy family. There was a father, mother, and two sons. They loved each other and the other inhabitants of their kingdom and lived a life of idyllic bliss. But even in this magic kingdom, the dragon of death could come, and come it did, taking away the beautiful mother and leaving the family sad. For a while, the father just existed, not being happy or over anything, but one day he found a new wife and brought her into the family. He was happy, she was happy. The youngest son was devastated. The horrible stepmother had arrived, and he knew from all those other fairy tales just what that meant. War was declared between the son and his new relative. It was a war of nerves and challenges. The poor father existed in no man's land. He would have ended the war if he had known a way, but the secret key to happiness was not to be found. Years went by, and the battles became more intense, and the sides more hostile to each other. There seemed to be no way to bring the two parties to the negotiating table. Hope for a truce was at a minimum. It was a Cold War, to be sure. But while the war was going on, the younger son grew up and took a bride. And in a few years, the young son had a young son of his own. And this young son needed a grandmother. "Who will be the grandmother for my young son?" cried the young man. "I will," came the answer from the dreaded stepmother. The whole country was astounded by this. Who would have thought that the dreaded stepmother would want to be a grandmother to the young son's child? But she did, and in her heart she already was. And when she held the young child in her arms, the pain of the long Cold War left, and she knew that peace had come to the magical kingdom again. The stepmother never had to worry about competing with the memory of another grandmother. She was the only paternal grandmother that child would ever know. His father's mother would be a person he would learn about in later years, but she would never take the place of his beloved grandmother. In the magical kingdom of South Carolina, the dreaded stepmother had been replaced by the wonderful grandmother. Strangely enough, they were the same person. They had been all along. But it took a little child to lead his father into that relationship. And they all lived happily ever after. Well, not really, but that's a story for another time. With this one, we'll leave it that they lived happily ever after. This has been Jackie K. Cooper with Tell Me a Story Thursday, sending love and hope.